All right, so this is not a user speech. This is not the State of the Union. So it's something friendly and approachable. I like asking questions. You can get back to me if you have any questions. You don't really have to wait to the end. I'm not teaching any class yet. I'm not a professor now. I'm a professor in the mornings. So feel free, to interact if you have any questions. I'm gonna talk about something that people usually have questions because you guys are from here, from America. And it's hard, to understand sometimes how other people live in the world, how things work in other places. So who's used Facebook regular basis, like every day? Raise your hand, don't be shy. Only 3 people? My God. So Twitter. So the rest is Twitter, right?
Twitter?
Wow, you guys are the most disconnected audience I ever have. All right, Twitter. So what about Google Maps? Who came here using Google Maps? That does not apply for the work of one, for the ones who work here. All right, so Google Maps. So the way I see it, we surround with internet. We live our life based on the internet. We use internet daily, and we don't know how much we rely on the internet. We basically do everything on the internet. We are the most connected country in the whole world. The level of connection of America is like 2, 3, 5 times the level of the second most connected country in the world. So sometimes we fail to recognize there are places in the world where internet is just a privilege, and something that few people can have.
A little bit higher.
Okay. So we fail to recognize sometimes that internet in another country is a privilege that only people with more money or people which have certain status in society can access. And for some other countries, people who have the money to pay for it sometimes cannot even access to the internet because it's censored, because they don't have the service, and so on. So this is a question that I like to ask when I do this speech. So what would you do if you get home, you open your computer and have no internet at all? Somebody volunteer?
Call the internet provider.
Okay, somebody else? What is
I
it?
steal the internet from my neighbor.
That's a new answer. So I always answer this girl's, answer. I always heard this girl's answer, but I never had, I never heard that one before. Like you steal from your neighbor. Okay, that's really good. So most of people, when I do that question, they always say like, oh, I call Comcast, I call AT&T, I call you insert your name provider, right? So in example, people in Cuba, they cannot call Comcast, no AT&T, nobody, because they don't have any provider. So this talk is not about Cuba, not about people in Cuba. I'd like to put it as an example, because I'm Cuban. This talk is not about internet or free access to the internet. This talk is about PHP, about teamwork. Talk is about technology, how technology can be used to grant other people a better life, how technology can be used to break the barrier with other countries and move, help society moving forward. But I need to talk a little bit about Cuba because as I say, I'm Cuban, I'd like to use it as an example, the best example I have. So in Cuba, there are 3 ways to connect to the internet right now. I'll do this short. So the first way is that you hire from the government. So funny thing, you can hire from the government, but you cannot be Cuban to hire. So only people who are resident, citizen of another country, residing in Cuba, like you study in Cuba, you're working in Cuba, you can hire from the government. But if you're Cuban, Cuban citizen, you cannot hire. So you don't have that privilege. So what people do, they have a friend who's a resident, they have a friend who's studying, so they pay that friend to get that internet. That's completely legal. So best case scenario, you can have a fine, worst case scenario, you can go to jail. And it's really expensive, because if you want to hire from the government directly, it costs you like $60 for 60 hours. If you go over 60 hours, you have to pay $5 more per hour, which is a price that I cannot afford here in America, honestly, with my salary. So, if you buy from somebody who bought it already, sometimes you have to pay $120 to $200. And we're talking about really slow internet that is dial-up, not really cool. So the second way you can get into is going to Cyber Cafe. It's extremely expensive right now, it's $2 per hour. Sometimes they have these hotspots around the Cyber Cafes, it's the same price, it's extremely expensive, not everybody can do it. It's a little bit faster, but anyway, not everybody can do it. So the third way is that you have granted internet at your office, or you have internet at home, or not at home, sorry, at your office, or you're a student, you have it in your college. I was a student, I had it in my college, I had 10 megs for the whole month. When I said that, people don't believe me. I had 10 megs for the whole month. So I remove images, I get to download like that, I get to surf like that. So some professors who have a really heavy account, they were the gods on the university, they get to have 100 megs per month. And those are the professors who do research and things like that. So as I said, everything in Cuba is owned by the government and it's restricted by the government, and internet is the one that is more censored and more restricted. Because they don't want people to communicate freely, they don't want people to share their knowledge, they don't want people to talk to other individuals, to share their thoughts, to like create unions like this one, and be opposing to whatever idea they're not supposed to be opposing. So, big corporative intents to bring internet to Cuba have failed before. Like 10 years ago, an Italian company wanted to bring internet to Cuba, reduce prices, pay for the whole infrastructure. They go and say no. Last attempt with Google, like beginning this year, they went to Cuba. The executive people went to Cuba. They tried to create a whole network. They talked to the government to bring their balloons. So you heard about the Google balloons before? Yes? No? Google balloons are really cool. So it's something that is floating in the air. They go through the country. You don't have to touch the island. You can just get near it, and it has like I think that 10 kilometers radius. So everything that is in that radio gets internet right away. And they connect to each other, they move each other, so they know how to synchronize, so they're always in the range of another balloon, so they can propagate the internet through. It is really cool. So they talk about bringing internet to Cuba for free, like free of cost for the whole country. Nobody has to pay. The government said. So what I have been talking about Cuba so far, there are many countries that are in the same situation. The only reason why I've been focused so far in Cuba is so you guys see an example of a country that's not like ours. A country where people can just freely access to the internet, like UMI, when there is a provision, another provision like you don't have the money to pay for it, or you don't know how to use it, or you don't have the education. It's a provision like it's at the state level that they don't want you to use it. They block for you, even if you have access it, it's censored. So it's really hard, for these people. And there are people in Cuba right now who it is a little crazy. They don't even know what internet is. They have the word maybe. When you talk about them, they don't really know how internet can benefit their lives. They don't really know how you can, how accessing Google Maps would make my life better, how accessing Facebook would make my life better. If you think about it, you probably have people in this room who lived like 20 years ago where internet was not that popular, 20 or 30, something like that, where internet was not that popular, where people did not rely on internet to live. So there are many countries in the world, not only Cuba, in the same situation. And this is what I want to show you first. So this is a really symbolic place in Cuba. It's called the Malecón. People go and sit there for hours doing nothing. That's how Cubans are. So 23 out of 100 people in Cuba can access email. But 3 out of 100 can get to the web. So this is another funny fact about Cuba. This is something that it happens in many other countries in the world too. So in Cuba, the government won't grant internet to people, but they do grant email. So there are people who can only access email. So email is banned, everything else is banned. You can only send and receive email. But if you try to go Wikipedia or the New York Times, you name it, it's censored. You can only send and receive emails. So that's the way to give the impression that a lot of people are connected, a lot of people are interacting, but they can actually use in a medium that it is not bringing the knowledge that is dangerous for the government to subsist. So I want to show you another way, a way that it may be more impactful for you guys. So the red part, it represents close to 4% of Cuban population, but the way is 11 million. So those are the people who have access to internet like you and I. Maybe they have some things censored, but they do have access to it. So the green area is the people who have access to email only. So it's calculated around 28% of the Cuban population, 2,600,000 people. They only have access to send and receive emails. The rest, they don't have the right to communicate. The rest, they don't even know how communication can be improved. How can I talk to the person who's not next to me, who's not my neighbor? How can I send an email? How can I tell someone who's in another state? They don't have the right. They don't understand that right. So, about 3 years ago, when I didn't have this graph done, but I was checking at the numbers and thinking, I said that I'm a computer science major. How can I use the knowledge I have? How can I use technology to bring more access to my people? How can I use technology to bring more communication to the world? How can I use my knowledge? How can I use technology to improve the way people live in the world, to improve the way people connect in the world, to give more entrepreneurial possibility to people so people can go ahead with the project, people can go ahead with their life, to give more connection to people so people can be aware of whatever is happening outside. They don't have to live in a bubble anymore, you know? And this is a funny solution. People, when I said it 2 years ago, people thought I was crazy. People are still thinking I'm crazy, but at least I have proven my idea. So my idea was like, for the specific case in Cuba, if we had like 2,600,000 people accessing through email only, why not to send the web through email? And I know it sounds crazy, but it's working. Working from 2 years ago, it's working. It's giving results. And the way it works, pretty easy. So people send an email to apretaste@gmail.com. And the subject line, they put whatever search they want to search, let's say Wikipedia. And we get the information, you know, automatically collect everything they're searching from Wikipedia. We put in an email and we send it back to them by
You
email.
add the URL in the subject.
You don't have to add the URL. So the way we're trying to do, instead of doing like URLs, because for people who never had used internet before, it's hard to understand the whole concept of URL in our experience, is that we offer specific services, like Wikipedia, Google Maps, translation. By the way, good you mentioned it, because these are the services that we have right now. So we have storage like Craigslist, Maps, Google Maps, Encyclopedia, Entertainment, Translation, SMS, Raffle, Web Channel. We also have a few more stuff, but these are the main ones. Something that I wanted to do here, just showing you an example, the ones who have questions are yours. So I'm creating a new email. Putting Apretaste will be, that's another email. Wikipedia, and what do you want to search in Wikipedia? Somebody important here in the area, you know, wants to search your name in Wikipedia. You give me a name.
Miami.
Miami? Oh, Miami. Okay, so Miami. So we send it. So it definitely takes a little bit, but if you think about it, if you wouldn't have internet on your computer at all, and you wouldn't have internet on your phone, you know, you wouldn't mind waiting for a few seconds to a minute for information that you wouldn't have any other way. But here it is, Miami. So it shows a little picture of Miami. It's in Spanish, of course. It's intended for Cuba right now. Alright, so it does information on Miami and a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to read here, population. This is the only actual image that I have. The one limitation of email is images and sizes. So this is the only image given. All the rest is table, colors, references, dynamic references, no images. So let me go back to my presentation. Okay. And as I said, people are thinking now I'm crazy, but I have proven that this works, that this is usable, and this is expandable. When we started, we didn't have any marketing at all. We still don't have any marketing at all. I told my friends told their friends, something like that. It was growing and growing and growing. Every month we grow from more than 1,000 to 2,000 users. So at the beginning, at the end of 2013, we had 70,000 emails sent and received, and 22,000 users, actual users using the system. Right now, we have 78,000 emails sent and received, and 27,000 constant users. So, in a country that is so unconnected like you know, I think that is a great number. I'm very happy with the number. And this haven't been my effort only, they have been a collective effort among many people who help, many people who put the time, who had the vision, who include new services. Like most of the services are done by people who want to contribute and found the time and put their effort. It has been, I'm the face of Apretaste, but I am not the soul. Soul is divided among many people who help. And I think that is a great example of how technology can be used to to provide service, to change the life of people, to increment the way people live, in the world, and how people can contribute using technology to make the life of all individuals better. So, we've been in feature events, been in the radio, on TV, we've been in 60 Minutes. So we have been recognized. That's something beautiful. I'm very proud of it, very happy. That there are more people that think that I'm not that crazy. That's always good. Yeah.
How do you do in order for the people in Cuba to communicate each other? For example, if there is an event that I would like to communicate through your system, how do you do?
Something like Meetup.
Like Meetup, so you could meet up.
That's in the plans to add, definitely.
That's the key.
We don't have it, but yeah, that's definitely one of the things that we have to add, Meetup in Cuba. Actually, we're thinking of using the Meetup API, to provide meetups that people here in the USA and around the globe can see at the same time that it's happening. So that's definitely something that we want to include.
A question, sorry.
Yeah.
What if I know about Google? I know what is Google, right? I can type instead in the subject, I can type instead Wikipedia, I can type Google, and then search before this.
So that is a service that is done, but it's not public. And the reason why is because somebody did it. A friend of mine did it, and then we're looking at it and did that like, what would be the benefit of giving people a list of URLs if they cannot actually go to those URLs?
Yeah, that's a good point. But those URLs could be returned back on these response emails as the actual.
Yeah, so
page.
that is another service that we
The
want
actual
to
page
add.
inside the
By the way, I'm thinking of talking about at the end of the slides, going ahead with that. That is another service that we want to add. We definitely want to add like email navigation. So you can put a URL and it creates a PDF out of your out of the website and send you the PDF back. But email has a lot of limitation in space, in capacity, blah blah blah. So some email providers in Cuba, just for you guys to know, can only take 250 megabytes, kilobytes, right? So if we create a PDF out of a website, we have to be sure that it fits into that size. So it's really hard. That's the main limitation when we haven't created that yet. But that's definitely something that we're envisioning to do big time.
But that would be great.
Yeah.
Because I could just surf the internet via my email.
Yeah, that would be
I don't
great.
have to worry about that. I make a search in Google and then I get a response back with the Google results. Alright, so I want this link, the first link here.
Let me show you something. Like you point out, I didn't have part of the presentation, but whatever. So look, this is the response from Wikipedia, right? So there are a lot of links. Of course, this link wouldn't make any sense because they cannot access to the internet, right? So let's say you want to know about New York, here, New York. So you click this link, and instead of going to the URL, you open another email. It's going to say Wikipedia, New York, which is, you see in the subject line, and then we navigate to another page in Wikipedia talking on New York. So yeah, that's something that we're envisioning to have as well with URLs. It's a really tricky work because you have to convey every URL to an email call, and then you have to send it back, and then the images. That's something that we're envisioning, but we haven't had the manpower to. But it's definitely a good point you pointed out, and I appreciate it. I'm going to close this, I'm going to go back. Okay, so, a little bit about me, because I didn't do my proper introduction. Well, I'm Sal. The way I perceive myself, I'm kind of a ninja, PHP, samurai, or something like that. I like to learn several languages. I know a few of them. At least I was like that 10 years ago, where I decided that in order to complement myself and do something great, I can not only be a ninja, PHP samurai, knowing about Java and C# and SQL and things like that. I also had to be a little bit of a marketing person, a little bit of a public speaking, even if I had this horrible, really strong accent, which I apologize, and a little bit of a business guy. So I've been trying to grow, and I've been doing little by little, as well as Apretaste is growing. So Apretaste born like 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, with the sole idea of bringing kind of Craigslist through email. Then we won a huge hackathon in the land Miami. It was really nice. We have a lot of press. We have a lot of friends that we met that day that help us out. They give us incentive. They give us like the extra kick that we need to push harder. And we're definitely getting advantage of it. So we added Wikipedia, then we added Google Maps, then we added Weather Channel. Every month we try to add a new service. More people try collaborating. So it was a really good time. It was a beautiful year. A lot of people helped, and Apretaste grew a lot, and we get invited to the radio, to the press. We had articles in Miami Herald. We had articles in Radio Marti. It was a really amazing year. It was a really amazing experience. You know, if that's something that you feel that is touching other people, that you're helping people out, and you be recognized for that. So after that, so I have a little, like, how say, downside in my life. I went to Cuba. I have my wife in Cuba. I went to visit her, and I was stopped by Cuban security at the police, and they kept me in jail for 4 months. That was an incident that I'm talking first time in public because I usually don't like talking about it, but I feel better now. You know, I was saying, and it makes me realize how screwed things are. You know, how like people are afraid, or people don't like to get in trouble, or people just don't care, and nobody do enough. You know, so the ones who do enough, they have big troubles too. So it was not only getting recognized for what I'm doing. It was not only like seeing that I'm changing the life of other people, it was also feeling that I'm doing something that is right, I'm doing something that is needed, and I have to pursue my ways. So right now I feel stronger at what I'm doing, and I started going to this type of event to spread the word and to create more awareness here, you know, in Miami, and try to have more people understanding what I'm doing and collaborating with what I'm doing, which is one of my goals here today. So the way Apretaste is done, and that is my next point, is PHP. From the very basics, we have Falcon PHP framework. Have you heard about Falcon PHP? You? Somebody else?
Did you say Falcon?
Huh?
Did you say Falcon?
Falcon PHP? No?
It's very nice, like C bindings to it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one.
That's all.
It's a really cool framework. So everything is done in C++ and it's compiled, and then it is like the MySQL plugin, right? You have to install in PHP and running in memory all the time. So Falcon is the same. The whole framework is inside a compiled code. So it's always in memory. It's really fast. It's light speed. It's like 10 times faster than any other plugin, any other framework I have. So we use Symfony. Symfony is a monster.
I know it's almost.
I mean,
We talk about that.
I don't want to disrespect anybody who's a Symfony fan here.
But it's huge fast.
Symfony is really good. Actually, I'm using part of Symfony. But Falcon is like nothing can go faster than Falcon because Falcon is always stored in memory.
Yeah, makes sense. Why?
So now the bad part is that if it breaks, it breaks. You had to go into the, shit hit the fans, you had to compile, you had to open a C compiler, and you had to recompile. Shit hit the fans, you don't want it to break. But anyways, so Apretaste, from the very beginning, it was done thinking in the collaboration idea, right? On having people collaboration is welcoming people to collaborate. We did GPL 3.0. You guys know about licensing GPL, right? So we did a license GPL 3.0. We have a code in GitHub, and we did a plugin systems. So everybody who wants to create their own service running in Apretaste can create in the same way they create an iPhone app, an Android app, and then submit it, and it will be live for everybody in the world who wants to connect to it. So that definitely helped a lot. The technology we're using, it is like any technology that any PHP program usually do. We do Composer to get our repos. We do Symfony DOM, the DOM crawler Symfony to access any website. I'm a big fan of Smarty. I don't know if you guys have heard of Smarty, but it's a really old plugin that's still being used. So I'm a big fan of Smarty. We're using Smarty for all the templates. So the way it's done is not only my effort, but the effort of many people who thought about the future, that more people would join to collaborate and they want to have the tools that they used to work with. So they don't have to learn any new language or any new thing. And that's one of the reasons we use PHP, because PHP is so widespread. Not so many people using PHP already. It is such a huge and nice community. You go and everybody in the community PHP wants to help. It's not like C#. Like, no offense, the one who's a C# fan here. And I don't want to go deep into this. I want to give you a notion, of how it works internally. So if you want to create one of these new services, you first have to just create an XML explaining how the service works, how it's going to be intended. So name of the service, your email. Like if you have any data, you just create the database in the XML file. And then the second step, you have to create a PHP file. You extend from the class Apretaste or from the class service. Basically, you put everything that you want to do, connecting to another API, accessing data, and then you turn to the view, and the view completely done smart. You have to get a smart template, and it renders the view and it shows to the people. You don't have to worry about sending, receiving emails, getting email from the cache, like email conventionalities, attachment files, or anything like that. PHP takes care of, Apretaste takes care of everything. At the end, you just pack everything, you put it in a zip file, and you upload it, and that's it. You have your service running. What is it?
How, for example, how work the Wikipedia part, for example?
Oh, Wikipedia is one of the most, the easiest services.
It works with the API that Wikipedia has, or
Yeah, Wikipedia has the open
has an API.
it's called WikiLearning's API, so you can access it for free.
Where you can get some data.
So WikiLearning API composed with two steps. I'm not going to go deep into it. So the first step is actually getting the results you want. So like if you put Yosemite, I don't know. So it gives you a list of all the results that looks like that in Wikipedia, and then the ID, and then based on the ID you can access the API and it gives you all the content in Excel.
If I would like, for example, create a new service doing this, what I just mentioned, I have to do it to a website that needs to have already an API ready to.
Not really. I don't want to get in trouble here, but we're using translation, and we're not using the API because Google charges for it. So use crawl to a translate page. So you can crawl.
In order to get me this page.
Why don't we go
URL
deeper into
page.
that later? Why don't we go deeper into that at the end of the session? You and I.
Okay.
Okay? So I don't want people to be bored here. So this is kind of how the service runs. I don't want to go deep into it, but it starts when the user sends an email to Apretaste. We get the email based on the first word of the subject line. Then we load the services that the person requests. So if they put Wikipedia, we go to one of the services running on our container for Wikipedia. We give the parameters to the Wikipedia service. So the service crawls everything up, get all the information, do some things inside, and send it back to the template. The template is given back to Apretaste, and Apretaste grab that template and send it by email. So the red part, the service runs and gives the result to Apretaste, is the only part that the programmer actually has to develop. The rest is taken care by the system. And I'm taking a lot of pride on this, because this is like a big part of my design, and I think like it is really cool to implement a service like that. You're not aware of like anything else but the container, your container, what your container has to do. You don't have to worry about like where email calls or email response time or anything like that. Going to move forward, not talking anymore about creation services. So this is what we want to do. So our plan in a year from now, is creating 20 new services. Among them, news, sport news, and app market, the social news, tech threads, but most importantly, web publishing by email. So imagine if you can publish your own website by email. How cool it would be that? For people who have no access to show any content to the world, for people who, if they have their own business, their own small business, say they rent their house, or they rent their car, or they sell onions or whatever, how cool it would be for them to have a presence online, so people who go to their own countries, they can purchase their product, they can rent their house, they can have more visibility. Right? How cool it would be. So the people in the world who don't have this kind of privilege. So among them, also service. Service is really important. You don't tell, but every day here in America we fill a survey. When we go to the supermarket, the list of things we buy is a survey. When you go to Facebook, you fill surveys every time. even if you don't know it. So surveys help learning about the people, learning how the people need, so we can offer, better alternatives. So surveys is another way that other people in Cuba who have their own businesses, let's say, they can interact to the audience, they can understand what the audience want, and they can get back, they can get feedback back so they know what product to sell. We also want to add Google search, as you say, social news, which is very important, a phone guide. You wouldn't believe it, but other countries, especially Cuba, they don't even know, they don't even have a physical phone guide all the time. So you have to search into it. But anyway, I don't want to get bored reading the whole list. The whole idea behind it, we really want to do, work in growing Apretaste and accessing more people. Really quick, I want to tell 3 stories. 3 stories that I think are really fun. So we have a customer service. We have a customer service place, right? We get emails and we attend them in person. So we get emails from every people in Cuba. They are asking how to access this, how to access that. We respond back to them, giving them one-to-one information. And we have thousands of emails every month that we had to do manually. So sometimes from these emails we learn things that are amazing. So let me give you the story of this guy who is a professor